the first time this has really happened. Because, you know, a lot of these brothers won't even speak to each other. You understand? So the beauty of this is that regardless if we disagree on 99 things, we agree on one, that we need to come together.
We want to let the youth know that there are alternatives to crime in your community. There are alternatives to having disrespect for your brother and your sister. African Americans must come to the realization that if we do not help ourselves in this regard, we will be the greatest. We will bear the brunt of crime as it affects us.
I would have to say that there were several times during the recording of the record and the shooting of the video that I just didn't think it was going to happen.
The camera's going to be on a crane coming along this way, catching y'all as each of you do the lyrics. So you got to sit in the order that you kick the lyrics on the song, right? And then when it goes all the way to the end, to the last person, it's going to come up to show the crowd in the background. Okay, so it's important that you guys are sitting down in the right order. That's what I'm trying to get right now.
Sitting?
Yeah, seated here. That's how it's going to start. That's one of the master shots. All right?
What's that up for the shot? We need you now.
This Melody's right over here.
We need you over here. And Doug?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. Glenn, we need you.
Melody.
What's up?
This is going out to all the youth, you know what I'm saying? Which is, you know, a lot of people that look up to us, because we are role models, you know what I'm saying? So we got to do the right thing in front of them at all times. We got to say the right things in front of them at all times. And we got to try to teach them to strive for perfection, because that is the right direction. And if anything is wrong, then we will make a correction. And how we do that? Because we have the detection. You know what I'm saying? And that's what time it is, so we'll add it to the collection.
Slide down, guys.
To where?
Slide down, we got to separate.
Flay, you over here. You over here, Flay.
The idea of the video shoot itself just seemed to be so massive because we were going from place to place and we had so many artists and all the artists had their entourages with them, and I just don't know how they kept it together. I don't know how the people at Classic Concepts kept us all together, because between Nelson and I, we were like, you know, nervous wrecks.
We need a lane free. We need a nice space in there.
It really ain't the rap audience that's bugging. It's one or two suckers, ignorant brothers, trying to rob and steal from one another. You get caught in the mid. So to crush that stereotype, here's what we did. We got ourselves together so that you could unite and fight for what's right. Not negative cause. The way we live is positive. We don't kill our relatives.
Pop, 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 when it's shot, who's to blame? Headline, front page, and raps the name. MC Delight here to state the bottom line. The black on black crime was way before our time.
Took a brother's life with a knife as his wife cried, cause he died a trifling death when he left his very last breath. Was I slept, so watch your step. Back in the 60s, our brothers and sisters were hanged. How could you gang bang? I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man, cause that's self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction. Self-destruction. Yeah, for self-destruction.
I would say Miss Melody, D-Nice, and probably some of the Stetsasonic brothers were the ones, Wise and Fuquan were the ones who the most debate was about. Because certain elements of people who wanted to be involved in the record felt that they weren't large enough. Miss Melody's record hadn't come out yet. And D-Nice had been working with Chris, but it wasn't acknowledged on his own yet. And I remember Miss Melody just being very pleasant and dealing with it very well. D-Nice had a lot more problems because he had a lot more conflicts. There was actually some conflicts that went on in the making of the record, and D-Nice was at the center of one of the conflicts. In fact, to this day, he has a rivalry of some kind with one of the other rappers involved in the project, which is interesting.
What's up? My name is Derek, but they call me D-Nice, and I am the producer of Self-Destruction. That came about because Chris, which y'all know as KRS-One, he really didn't have time to do the music, so he basically asked me to come up with a beat for it. And I came up with the beat that y'all hear. we submitted tapes to everyone to see how they liked it. A lot of people said it was okay, and they thought it could be better. And they really criticized me a lot for it, but I really thank them, because without their criticism, I really wouldn't have went back in the studio and did the best job that I thought I can do. You know, it would have been just that.
This is all about no doubt to stop violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence.
Dougie, again, someone everyone wanted to have on there, but it was hard getting a hold of him all the time. And when he came in, I never forget, he came in tonight, he listened to the track after some other people had laid down their raps, and he wasn't totally with it. And Hank Shockley, who was associate producer, was there that night. And Hank actually and he sat in the studio and did some things. They really did some things with the track, because they had been working on Dougie's album. And Dougie, his section, the whole, he actually gave us a bridge. I mean, the record needed a bridge, and his section is actually the bridge to the record, because it has a kind of change of pace and his own instrumental stuff. Quite brilliant. I mean, Doug really came in. He had a feeling it needed to be more danceable, and he made sure that it worked. I mean, I think that his section, again, is one of the highlights. And that whole idea of using his voice and all that stuff in a moment of silence, that's all his, and it's all Dougie, and it's again, I think, again, some of his best work, actually.
It doesn't make you a big man, and you want and go and dish your brother, man, and you don't know that's part of the plan. Music is a field, the man understands.
I mixed the record. It took me 2 days to mix it. I stayed in the studio for like about 36 hours, you know, straight, just to make sure that everybody on the record could have their own spotlight, even though they were already established artists. But I wanted to make it seem more than just everyone's rapping on this one record, so I'd switch the beat under, like if Public Enemy was rapping, I'd put Funky Drummer, you know, since they're known for using Funky Drummer and rocking it in various ways, I'd put Funky Drummer under it. And when Step was rhyming, I put what was Talking All That Jazz under while Step was rhyming. And, you know, same thing goes with Light and Heavy D.
Here's the situation. Idiocy, nonsense, violence. Not a good policy, therefore we must ignore fighting and fussing. Heaven's at the door, so there'll be no bum rushing. Let's get together because we're falling apart. I heard a brother shot another, it broke my heart. I don't understand the difficulty, people. Love your brother, treat him as an equal. They call us animals, I don't agree with them. I'll prove it wrong, but right is what you're proving them. Take heed before I leave to what I'm saying, or we'll all be on our knees praying.
I remember being at a concert in Madison Square Garden. Heavy, how do I get on this record? Who do I have to talk to get on this record? I want to be on the record. He was like that about it. And when he came into the studio, his rap was already written. He and Kumo D were probably the two most professional and on point. And when I say they came in, they had their stuff ready, they did it, boom, they were in and out, just real sharp. The Stop the Violence record is really, I think will go down in history if you look at is a record which represents the New York mentality of rap and also the New York mentality of street life culture. I mean, the record really reflects the fact that people in New York went through their gangster stage. I mean, we don't have the gangs in New York in the late 80s, early 90s that they have in other parts of the country. For some reason, the chemistry here has not brought that about. And so we have a lot more consciousness, the whole Malcolm X movement, Afrocentricity, all of these positive things, understanding or appreciation of Islam as part of the continuity of religion, and that Christianity is not the only religion. All these different themes that are going through black culture, you can see that are reflected in self-destruction. And I think that's one of the things that's going to be good about it in the long run, that it's a document of a certain mentality that was going on.